Being featured is brought to you by Lucky Horseshoe, A&R Electrical Services, and Patient Spirit Productions.
My guest being featured today has made a huge mark on the calypso and soca scene in Barbados, and his name is Ian Webster. Ian, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, well, this year I must congratulate you first and foremost for winning the double. It's a big deal, and I'm looking forward to see the triple.
Well, let me enjoy the double first. Let me get to the triple. It has been a lot of hard work, and I'm very, very pleased with the outcome of the past 2 seasons, and I've been able to come out on top in the pic-o-de competition. Still striving for better, still trying to do better in the Soca Royale, where there's Sweet Soca and Party Monarch, trying to make even a significant mark there as well.
Okay, at the tender age of 14, you saw your way into the Richard Stout Teen Talent. Could you take us back to those golden years?
Well, when I entered Teen Talent, I entered with a group called Infinity. I was one of the lead singers of the group at that time, and we did pretty well. I think we would have came second or third in our first preliminary, went all the way to the finals in our very first year. Our best placing in the Teen Talent competition would have been second in the year that Barry Chandler won. That was either in 2000 or 1999, one of those 2 years, I'm not too sure. Well, I can't remember right now, to be honest. But that was our best placing. Subsequently, I would have left the group and gone into the soca arena. Started out singing with Synergy. At the time, it was a replacement for Kiomal, who had then made the transition to Crossfire. Then I went from there to Electric. That was a pretty short stint. Then I spent about another year or so with the band Double Explosion.
Okay, you would have been fairly young at that time. At that age, how was that experience? You know, you're a youngster now coming out of secondary school. How was that experience for you being on the road and actually doing a lot of gigs with those bands?
Well, actually, I learned a lot in terms of how the industry works. Opened up my eyes to the amount of hard work, for example, that has to go into a crop over season. The need to have good material. At the time, it wasn't a writer, and so there were persons that would write for me and so on, and you essentially at that time would have had to take what you would have gotten, you know. I actually had the opportunity during that time as well to enter the Junior Monarch, and I didn't get out the preliminary. I only entered Junior Monarch once, yeah, and I think that year, I think Malika Hart, she won. And then about 2 years later, I was able to make my way onto the big stage at the pic-o-de finals after the previous year, which would have been 2002. 2002, I would have come to public recognition when I had a song called Reply to the Wedding. And that was when I had first entered the Virgin Atlantic Headliners tent. And in that tent at the time, I had some great mentors. Bag was in that tent, Bumba, Mr. Dale, Natalie, TC, Rupi, Lil Rick, Colin Spencer. We had, I mean, a tremendous cast of Calypsonians in headliners at that time. And like I said, I didn't make it the first year out of the tank, but the second year around, 2003, I made it all the way to the pic-o-de finals and would have placed third in that particular year.
And I remember that year there was some side talk about Ian Webster being a young upstart. How did that affect you?
Well, at the time, it didn't really affect me, to be quite honest, because I was just having fun. You know, for me, I was on stage with these guys that I grew up watching, the Red Plastic Bag and John King and the Kid Sykes, you know. And at 19 years old, I was just enjoying myself, enjoying the moment, the thrill of being on stage. Going to the finals, I really didn't think I had anything to lose, so I just went out there and sang and I had a good time and placed third.
And then shortly after you popped off to the scene, what happened then?
Well, in life, you know, you go through changes. At that time, I would have gotten involved in the church and so on, went overseas and studied, did music, did some theology and so on. Spent about 9 years away from the Calypso competition, spent about 4.5 years studying, another few years being involved in a lot of missionary work and that kind of stuff, doing things related to the church and such like. Then I came back to Barbados in 2010. Upon coming back to Barbados, I was actually going to do my master's in interdisciplinary communication because I had started to get involved in mass communication and doing a lot of media and stuff like that, going on radio. And I had been accepted to Andrews University in Michigan to pursue a master's degree over there. But when I got home, to tell the honest truth, I guess it was maybe a bit of homesickness. After being away from home so long, to finally be back in Barbados among family and friends, I actually deferred my acceptance and decided I would try to pursue a career here in Barbados. And that particular career ended up being in teaching. So I got involved in the whole Calypso arena again in 2011. I think that was the year that Popsicle won. I had done a bit of writing for Kiamal. He made it to the finals that year. He didn't place in among the top 5 or anything like that. But it allowed me an opportunity to observe the competition again, see what was going on, you know. And the following year, 2012, I made my re-entry into the pic-o-de competition.
Yeah. And 2013, a big year, the first time ever winning the pic-o-de finals. How did that make you feel?
Well, that was a really tremendous night for me. I remember being extremely nervous in 2013 for both performances and only hoping that I had done enough on the night to come out on top. I thought I had a good chance. And there wasn't much pressure on me because, you know, as I would have listened to the calling programs and stuff, nobody expected me to win, nobody was calling my name or anything like that. So that eased a little bit of the burden. But within me, there was a quiet confidence that knew that I could possibly come out tops. And so I was really, really nervous on the night. And I went out there and I performed my heart out. And the results came back and I had won. It was a great feeling. At the time it was in All-Stars 10, and All-Stars would have gone in first, second, fourth. I think Adrian Clark, he would have placed 9th. We had about 4 people in the finals. And there were 3 of us who ended up in the top 5. And that was great for the tank.
Okay, you mentioned that you were in All-Stars 10. No, you are not in All-Star 10. Why did change?
Well, there were some issues. Again, you know, in life, there's always change. There are always issues that pop up unexpectedly. There were some concerns that some of the senior Calypsonians in the tank had. We approached the management to voice our concerns, not in a boisterous way, but to see what was the best possible way that we could have improved the tank. Unfortunately, our attempts and our efforts were misunderstood. And we felt that it may have been in our best interest to have some more representatives. We sought the services of Mr. David Weatherhead to do so. And all things seemed on stream and on course for us to have another season in All-Stars for 2014. None of us had any intentions of leaving or going anywhere. We had our tank dates, we got tank dates and everything organized and set up. And then I remember the March 19th, just after 8 o'clock, it was a Wednesday night, I got a call indicating that as of 2014, there will be 3 members who are no longer associated with All-Stars Calypso Tank. Those persons being Colin Spencer, Smokey Burke, and Adrian Clark. Myself and Crystal Cummings Beckles, we were given an ultimatum. We were supposed to get back to by the 21st, Friday the 21st of March. We were not supposed to speak through any manager, any agent, any personal assistant or anything like that. We were supposed to speak to her directly and to indicate our willingness to sing in the All Stars Calypso tank. Neither myself or Crystal called, and so subsequently we went our separate ways.
Okay, and at the end of the competition, you eventually won, but it was controversial once again. Coming out of the competition, some people were saying they expect you to come last.
Well, I only heard one person say that, but or two, maybe two. But these are things that you generally expect with change. You know, this is something that has never been done. To sing a song, even though the emphasis is being placed on one song.
Karaoke.
Yeah, karaoke, and it's really a two-song competition. I've heard talk about, you know, it's not calypso and so on. And that can be fair, because the vast majority of the song is calypso. There are essentially, if I count correctly, there are about 6 8-bar sections of each chorus that are not calypso. In fact, in the finals, I cut that down to about 5. 5 8-bar sections. 5 8s, 40 bars. That song has at least 200 and something bars. And if I remove those 40, all of the other bars are calypso. It is, like I said, something that has never been done. But for me, the best way to exploit the concept would have been to use songs in the actual song that are not calypsos. Because karaoke, if you look at karaoke, the vast majority of the tunes sung at a karaoke session are back in time tunes. There are a few calypso tunes, but the vast majority of them are back in time tunes, oldie goldies, that kind of thing. And so to get the point across, I saw it necessary and I saw it fitting, relevant, whatever you want to, terminology you want to use, to use the songs. I checked in terms of how much of a particular song I could use. I checked also the NCF rules to ensure that it would not be in breach of anything, because it would have made no sense to compete with the song if it would have been in breach with any NCF rule, or if I would have landed myself in trouble with copyright. The song has not been recorded for the purpose of sale, so I am not going to make any money from the song. Therefore, when it comes to copyright, I don't make any money from the song. The people also whose songs I would have included in the karaoke song, therefore won't make any money. People may say, and I've heard the argument about, oh, it's a competition, and you would have won the competition. Copyright pertains to sales of records, not competition. You know, as far as the rules in terms of copyright are concerned, and even when it comes to the NCF, there are no rules that say you can't do this or you can't do that, or you know. So I made sure that I dotted my I's, crossed my T's before I wrote a word for that song. And I have to say thanks to Eric Lewis. I gotta say thanks to people like Shane Jones, who would work with me this season, Gabby, Roger Gittings, Nicholas Branker. These are people who would have made the victory in 2014 possible. I had a team which included people like Jennifer Young, Cicely Spencer Cross, Colin Spencer, Smokey Burke, David Weatherhead. All of these are people that rallied around me, my Tank family, Boo, the entire Headliners posse, Jillian, Skeet, and I mean the list can go on and on and on. These are people that really, really looked out for me this season and ensured that, you know, I was comfortable, everything that I wanted was in place. So I mean, I'm thankful to them, thankful to God, of course, because it's God who gives the ability, it's God who gives the inspiration. And I try every year to do something different in terms of angle, you know, and that is something that I would have learned from Bag. Bag said to me that we, as Calypsonians, we sing about the same thing, but the important thing is to try to find a unique angle, you know, that most people wouldn't think about. and approach your song and your songwriting from that perspective. And that's what I try to do with karaoke, because I knew that it was an angle that many people would not think of or think possible you can write a song from that angle. And I experimented with the concept. The song came out the way it did. I was happy with how it came out. And fortunately, I got the victory, and I'm thankful for that.
Okay, Ian Webster, very informative speaking to you, and I want to thank you very much for passing through.
Thank you for having me again, man. Appreciate it.